Hey, it's Shapes, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest, where we go over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week, from the 15th of April to the 21st of April. I just want to start by saying I might move Digest one day earlier, so you might be seeing this on Tuesday next week, but this will be still coming out the same day, but I'm adjusting the schedule one day earlier just as a heads up. That's because I'm starting to work with my roommates on their thing, which their schedule is on Tuesday, and there's more of a unique cycle to that. And that being more of a paying position for me, I'm going to work my schedule around theirs. So that's no big deal. You're still going to get Digest. First, for the video that I gotta admit I was a little disappointed by, because not that I was looking forward to it or I'm familiar with this particular creator, but it was more that I was into it for a good while at the halfway point, and then it just didn't work. It kind of lost me really bad. This is from Posadist Pacman. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name, dude. I'm really sorry. Japan has a problem, and anime will solve it. Pretty interesting generic kind of title. It's what is the problem and how will it solve? I guess it's enticing in that way, but it's certainly left for a bit of confusion on my end for a while of the video, where I was like, so what exactly is the problem that he's going to cite here, and how does anime specifically address it? The first half talks about what the problem or problems is for Japan. He actually cites 4 or 5 or 6 problems and doesn't even get to all of them. There's a lot of problems with their way of governing and certain cultural norms, and the fact that their growth was stunted a little bit. A lot, not a little bit. And all of that was really interesting. It was the first half hour, there was 25 minutes or something, was talking about the history of Japan and this person's experience with interacting with Japan too. I really liked hearing the insight of how they grew up on Japanese culture and not simply just anime or anything, and really growing to have a deep respect for the culture and everything. He cares about these issues. It sucks that they have to deal with these issues because everything else is so rich and everything. But he talks about the problems, and he has 5 or 6 of them, and he lists them and has a pretty good basis for all of them, and seems to have done his research, although there's no list of sources or web. Sometimes he cites an Anime Man video a couple of times. He has one part where he references a call that he had with a Japanese colleague of his, and how she moved away from Japan and moved with a foreigner and lives happily in Australia because she was being oppressed. And those sort of, and I get that that sort of thing is very difficult to cite, and it's fine, and you can tell the guy did research. And it also helps, the video itself is very well edited. I think half of it was done by one of my patrons, Callio, and I don't know which half he did, but the half, it was well edited the whole way, but the first half in particular had really great sources, and what you were visually showing people, even if you didn't have any sources or links anywhere in the description or anywhere that I could find, even in your script that you link, there's still visual, you could tell that there's some consumption of documentaries and everything like that. And he recommends a couple of them, but otherwise it didn't feel like you were citing very much things, and that was kind of rubbing me a little bit kind of the wrong way. That was my only issue with the first half. Otherwise, it was very insightful. I really much liked listening to it. And then it gets to the second half, and actually kind of the majority, I'm pretty sure, of the video, where he talks about how anime can solve each of these issues. It's not a problem that has problems. I think it should have been, it has problems, and anime will solve them, because there's a lot of things. And he cites maybe 3 or 4 anime for each problem, and he basically goes backwards after he's laid out these 5 or 6 whatever problems, and then goes back from the beginning and gives an arbitrary number of anime. It doesn't. So like what really lost me with this was there's no sense of progression. Like it actually clicked for me only halfway through the second half that I was like, oh, they're going through the problems they were just citing, like step by step. I think it would have been much better paced and easier to follow and more engaging if you went problem by problem, even using text to be like, part one, this problem. Here's what the problem is. Here's how anime, I think, what anime is saying that can fix it, or and whatever. And I'm okay with the analysis. The analysis seems fine, but the choices is just really. I didn't care for any of the anime you were analyzing and showing as a, and maybe that's because they're not my favorites. Almost any of them. And maybe that's just a different taste, and that shouldn't take away anything. But it didn't feel like you were taking from like anime that actually made some societal change. Like you're citing Saga of Tanya the Evil. I'm sorry, what is this anime going to? Was it successful? Was it a hit in Japan? Is it actually going to create some social change, or is it just suggesting something and you just like what was in it and you're just giving an analysis video of it? And it's fine to make these analysis videos and to make these points, but like to say that this anime will solve this problem just seemed really out of touch to me and not useful. I think it would have been much more useful if you actually looked at anime's history, which is much longer than, what's the oldest anime you cite? Fucking 2011? I think Steins Gate is the oldest show that this person actually talks about. And it was just really annoying to me. Just like, oh, it's just a bunch of seasonals, like Bunny Senpai and Oh Maidens in Your Savage Season and Zombieland Saga. It's like, these are not bad Ass Class. It's like, these are not bad shows, and your analysis seems fine, but it just seemed really narrow focused for such a, especially with how the first half seemed so well researched and so well thought out, and you clearly know what the problem is, and now you're just kind of shoehorning your anime analysis. You like talking about your favorite shows. That's just kind of what it came off to me as, and it was so tedious and boring. And I'm sorry, but that's was disappointing to me. And maybe I'm sorry if that's like an unintended shade. I'm just giving you my honest thoughts on this. And there's anime in the 70s that led to like some societal like ruckus and brought about some like, it also showed that anime could be more than just entertainment, right? Like Mobile Suit Gundam, really important show to anime as a whole, not just for mecha, but for the fact that there's an ongoing storyline and that it's a human-on-human conflict. And maybe it doesn't have to necessarily do with Japan specifically, but neither did Saga of Tiny the Evil. I'm sorry. Or like Ashina Joe. You know what I mean? Like, or Evangelion? Like, the ones that kind of seem like they're going to have an actual societal push because they actually impacted Japanese culture. At least I like to think that they did, or Astro Boy, or I don't know. And yeah, maybe you're narrowing your focus to the 2010s because that's where you're citing that there's some actual societal change happening. But again, I don't know if Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is really is being cited as an influence or a real driving force to LGBT issues. I just don't think it. I just don't see it. I don't see the evidence. They just don't seem. It wasn't a convincing argument for me. I still think this video could have worked pretty well. I think the real key issue is the fact of how it was structured. It was so overburdened with analysis and just talking about. And I personally found it very standard anime analysis. I didn't find it that engaging. Maybe that's just me being oversaturated by it. But it just didn't feel like you had anything too insightful to say beyond identifying the problems, which you didn't even cite all of them. Like, that's... I feel like if you just cited the core problem and maybe found a through line, which you kind of did with the whole cultural stunting of their growth, and then leaning towards conservatism. And there were certain things like that was like, okay, that might actually spread to why they have a matriarchal problem, why there's this education problem, and all this other thing. There's a through line. And I feel that. That's good. You just got to keep linking that back to that through line of conservatism and maybe how this anime is breaking away from that. And also, low-key, the kind of thing that was a little absent is you mentioned Kyoto Animation's break away from this dynamic of culture and everything and how they're different in these ways. But then you don't really go on to notice that the majority of these other anime studios and anime industry, as well as the industry that made the shows that you're talking about that are said to have solved this problem, are also created from their own problems. The anime industry has its own set of problems that might also stem back from this conservatism issue. I feel like you could have made that conservative issue, or whatever that through line was, much more prevalent and much more like, here it is, you know? As somebody, I'm coming from somebody, from a place of making my own video right now that is probably going to be as long, if not longer than this. So I was watching this like, oh my God, I hope I don't, you know, me kind of worrying about losing people and like getting people kind of exhausted about what, because it just felt like endless. And there's even like a comment, the pinned comment on this video is like the timestamp of all the different things. And they have like titles that are like, this could have been its own anime analysis video. You're just creating a bunch of anime analysis videos and stuffing into one thing. And so that's something I'm also struggling with. And like, I'm basically kind of making 5 videos that could be separated their own thing. But I want it to be one video because it's cool like that. So it's like, I feel you making the big, ambitious, cool thing. And so, yeah, and I'm dealing with that. And so I'm coming from my own experience where it's like, you have to really identify what that through line is and then make it, even, instead of kind of like problem, solve. You know what I mean? You don't want to flip flop and there was a moment where you mentioned like Agretsuko and Kobayashi's Dragon Maid earlier in the video, during like the first half, I think, and it didn't even occur to me that at the time I didn't know you were going to do this like anime like one after the other anime analysis thing. I didn't know you were going to do that, and so I was like, oh yeah, I see your point with the Kobayashi and the Agretsuko compare. That's interesting. And then later on, like towards the end, after I'm already inundated with so much other analysis, it's like, and now we have to the Agretsuko end of Kobayashi's Dragon Maid part. I'm like, no. I zoned out. No way. Because I don't want to be pulled back and forth like that. Introduce your points and then make that, bring that section of your video, talk about that, and then finish that and move on. Don't go back to it. It just frustrates the audience, especially if one who's willing to sit through such a long video. But that's just me. I saw a lot of people being supportive in the comments, and it's like, this is really important, and, so that's cool. So, again, I really like the first half, and I would recommend this video, at least for watching the first half. I think it's very insightful, and I really like, again, your introspective part where you're talking about yourself and your history, and I don't think any of the analysis was bad. I just couldn't deal with it, man. I was just like Food Wars. No, I'm sorry. I don't care. I don't care. But that's just me being an oldie. So don't, I'm just one voice, but I had several people wanting me to talk about this, so I'm happy I did, but yeah, it was exhausting. Anyway, yeah, good job. Looking forward to what you might make next. Okay, now for the videos that I thought were decent. I thought they were pretty good, if you ask me. First is a core video. Core review is kind of very standard, very nice recommendation sort of thing. Talking about the strange romance of Elemi. This is how you do a review, you guys. Okay, like this is technically Core Reviews doing a review, but A doesn't have review in the title, but also like. He's talking about it very holistically and not in a way that feels like he's telling you the plot. He gives you the initial hook and the general premise, but giving you more of an idea of the experience of watching this show and not like what to expect if you watch this show. Because it's, first I think that might kind of spoil it to some elements, but then also like it's just boring. It's just like I don't care. But like. I really liked that Core shouted this out. I don't have too much else to say about it. It was cool. And I think there's another anime that had to do with a telephone, like a sentient telephone pole that I remember watching. I can't remember though. I could look at my Taiga right now, but I'm too I'm too lazy to. But I think there's other ones like that. But I know this was part of Core doing a whole spectrum of stop motion anime, and I think I would imagine Core is making kind of like a bigger video on that, maybe. Oops. But hey, that's okay. I think it was worth looking through all of them, and then coming through this. I really do want to watch this now. I'm probably going to at some point. Would it be? Would it do? I liked it. I liked it a good deal. Check it out. Flip Otaku has a manga review. What did I tell you? No, I'm sorry. It's okay if you put review in the title. It's just like, yeah, I know what to expect, I guess. But he put a manga review for Skullman, the original Kamen Rider. And it was very quick and easy, and it was one of those times where I was like, oh, I'm sort of familiar with Skullman. I actually watched the anime a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago at this point. Close to a month. Not quite. A couple weeks ago. And, he talks about the anime a little bit, but as the good boy that he is, Flip Otaku is, he's very in with industry stuff, and he's buying a lot of the material and supporting the official release and stuff like that. He's not really showing any footage or pages or anything like that, so he's not making it very aesthetic to really sell you on it in that way. He's mostly, it's mostly like you're visiting, you've come over to his house and he's talking to you about manga. It felt like that. It's comfy in that way. I kind of like it. It's, one take of him kind of talking about Skullman. He even include, it's one take, so there's some parts where he kind of knocks one book over or something like that, and it's a little awkward, but it kind of makes it more like authentic. You know what I mean? I think it's like, oh, this is kind of nice. It's like, wow, that book added to falling at the awkward moment added to it. I don't know. But I kind of liked it, and gives a hearty review for Skullman. Knows what he's talking about. Shows a couple of pages, and it's stuff like that where it's like, oh, a little bit is enough. It doesn't have to be a holistic, like, this definitive Skullman video. And as long as you're transparent about that, you're not trying to go for that or anything like that. Because I think it's very easy to do that. Like me, I like doing that. And it bites me in the ass because I rarely put videos out. Would it be a damn haha? But this was neat. Not too special or anything like that, but I wanted to talk about Flip through some of his stuff, and he does his thing. It's nice. Nunmanji put out a video, Guts and Hard Work, Gunbuster, Diebuster. what a neat title. This is a neat little video from Nunmanji talking about Gunbuster and Diebuster. My friend, have you heard of Aim for the Ace? Because the first couple of minutes where he's describing Gunbuster and kind of the process of like Noriko not feeling worth it and the coach believing in her and all that. You know where that's from? That is directly from Aim for the Ace. Granted, they kind of go in different directions after that. It's not like after the first two episodes, I would say. It's very different because it's not like Noriko has a rivalry with I forget her name, the blue hair girl, her partner Amano, I believe. Yeah, it's not like she has like an actual fight with Amano at any point really. But so they go in different directions, but I would recommend it. I would recommend. It's also a good-looking show, directed by one Osamu Dezaki. Very nice. I think it'll be. I just give you a recommendation, but otherwise, pretty standard, pretty nice video. I did like that Nunmanji was very transparent about his opinion on Die Buster. He's like, I don't think it's as good as Gunbuster. I'm kind of not crazy about it. And I think he rewatched it. I think I saw a Twitter post where he was like, yeah, I rewatched it, and I like it a lot more than like I did the first watch. It's like, yeah, I feel that. I only watched it once myself. I think it's okay. Actually, I think I rated it the same as Gunbuster at the time, which I put as a great. So I don't know. I don't have as strong feelings about it as I do the Gunbuster. Not like a wow Gunbuster. I just rewatched Gunbuster too. This is very rambly, I'm sorry. But I like they were transparent about that, and you still give it its fair credit. You don't try to discredit it or anything like that just because that's the opinion you hold. You do get where it's coming from and how it relates specifically back to Gunbuster, and not trying to like distance itself or anything like that. So I like that you were very transparent about this. Like, yeah, I have more of a preference and a relation with Gunbuster than I do Die Buster, but giving each of them their fair credit. And a nice video for sure. And I'm happy that, talking about more classic stuff. I dig it. Kind of, sorry, I don't know. I'll tell you, I'm pretty self-conscious these days about not talking enough about some anime YouTube videos. And, if I have nothing to say, I don't talk about it at all. Because I don't want to embarrass myself or, like, put it... I don't know why I'm talking about it in this section. But, like, I just want to be more confident in saying, like, this is my piece. This is a little one or two things that I liked about it. Good video. Here, recommend it to other people who might be looking for more content if they're not subscribed to you already. Which I assume they are. Because it's like... If you're watching my channel, you should know about these channels by now. But hey, Metahulk had a video, the anime community experience, my story. I like the introspective stuff, for sure. And it's a lot more personal. I liked that he didn't try to make it very holistic or grand or anything like that, and try to make it like... I think you could have run into the trap of like, trying to represent the whole community here. And really try to get it. It's like, I don't know. But, he's coming from his experience and his love for it. I very much liked the positive feelings this had with his experience introducing to Tokyo Ghoul and his community experience with that and being on the forums and exploring that part of the history and everything. I love that, and it really gives a good justifiable reason for why you should consume stuff that's as it's airing. It's a good argument, because I think it's starting to wane for some people, including myself. I'm just like, I'll just watch it when it's over. Kind of whatever. Stop moving, damn it! And then rediscovering that fandom experience with Quintessential Quintuplets, which I didn't know it was that bad, that crazy. Not bad, but that intensive. I did hear some things, but this was the first time I was really experiencing that, and it could have made for its own video for sure. I think you had a lot of insight into it, and documenting that could have been really interesting, maybe for like a bigger video where you really start from the beginning, where it's like everyone thought it was this girl and this was the dynamics, and certain points in the story would shift the community dynamics in different ways. I think that would be really interesting to kind of go a little further into that. But I found that really interesting. But I liked that it was very heartfelt and honest. You weren't trying to make yourself out to be some representative of the community or anything like that. And I like the introspective stuff. Good deal. I did enjoy. And lastly, I'm going to talk about the best video of the week that I was just like, oh, wow, sick, loved it. First, I got an Oceaniz video coming through with a fucking manga music video about Tomura Shigaraki, what couldn't be protected. And I think he's using Hero Academia Season 4 OST. Like he's using like the actual instrument, which is, I don't know, that doesn't usually happen. Usually, you kind of get your own, but using actual shows OST, wow, yeah, pretty good. And kind of speaking onto the quality of the manga versus the anime, although I know Oceaniz isn't necessarily like an anti-anime fan or anything like, well, there's some people who are like, yeah, the anime's not doing it. But Oceaniz has been pretty fair, I think, at least what I've been seeing on Twitter. Gotta tell you, this is the most enjoyable time I've had watching a Hero Aka video. Only for the visual element, you know? It's just, you know, it doesn't do it for me. It's just kind of whatever. But I loved it because you were working with several motifs with his, you know, the cracks and everything, and I could tell I could tell the thematic relevance of his quirk and everything, and Shigaraki as a character. And it's mostly banking on the emotional sways and the kind of the high points of that arc and that character, instead of like, wow, the thematic complexities of the. I don't care. I don't care. But this felt more raw and more like experiential, and also killer on the editing. You know, there's some tricks that were like, oh, that was pretty cool. Some of them was a little corny, like like the one where he is like the curtain going back like that, and there's the spotlight. There's parts where it was like, but fun, still very engaging, and again, really pinning on that emotional, experiential response instead of like logic and like, look, this thematic complexity, it's very genius. I don't know. It's like, I don't know if you actually made a video like this, Oceaniz, but it's one of those things where you've probably seen videos like the genius of All Might or something. Or if you made that video, I apologize for dunking on it. But like, you know, and I'm just like, I'm not in the market for that. I'm just not. I don't care if a character's brilliant or it's complex or whatever. I just want them to be cool, engaging. It doesn't matter if I don't even care if they're one note, you know, as long as they're memorable and stick with me and like have cool interactions and cool shots. That's kind of enough for me, man. Like, I appreciate Johan and Griffith and all those guys, but like, I like them because they're fun to watch on a moment to moment basis. And I've mentioned this, but it's like, they're just fucking cool, dude. Where's Shigaraki? I mean, granted, a lot of this is manga only and hasn't really happened in the anime too much. Hasn't it seems, but at least early on, especially, it was just like, yeah, he seems cool, I guess. I don't know, didn't have any like, whoa, look at that guy, you know what I mean? But this was really bolstering it. It was like, yes, I hope this is the true, you know, final endgame antagonist, which is something that doesn't happen too often in manga, in shonen manga, I believe, like Shonen Jump, where they have like the main bad guy show up really, really early. I don't think that happens too often. Like the final bad guy happening really early, showing up really early. I don't think that happens too often. I mean, granted, you have Sasuke, but not who I'm referring to, really, when it comes to the end game boss, right? I don't know. That was more about other things, because I know you're hopefully watching. I don't know, but you know, I enjoyed that. I was also upset that this doesn't seem to be, you know, gangbuster views or anything. These things usually don't. Whatever. Maybe it will, because it's only come out this week, right? But like, you know, damn. Why did these things have to not get the more views, you know? And we can just, or, you know, and I'm looking forward to maybe, you know, this is what seems as much an exercise as it is like a cool thing. So it's, you know, like I do. I like using my AMVs and stuff as ways to get better with Premiere and, you know, become a better editor, right? So, I mean, hopefully I'm looking forward to getting to a video that I want to watch. No offense, again, I swear. That would implement some of this cool shit. It's cool shit. I loved it. Stevem again. Your weekly Stevem recommendation. Just every time he uploads a video. Yeah, just like, yeah. I swear. But returning to the Cat Returns. Nice title. I have to tell you, I don't think anyone's made a video like this about Cat Returns. Like, what if... Man. Because, like, that movie really doesn't get enough love. I don't think. And I don't know, maybe you didn't necessarily waste time kind of leaning into why that might be. I don't know why that might be. But yeah, you know, it is a good movie. And you do make some mentions where it's like, you know, entertains, has the thing, and then doesn't waste your time. It's a short movie. Just kind of does its thing. Not trying to be grand or anything. But I really liked the approach you had for it actually showing the actual connection to Whisper of the Heart, because I always think it's kind of a weird, loose sequel is like not really a sequel. But you show the origin, you're showing the actual elements that are taken from Whisper, like the motif, the musical motif from Whisper that shows up in Cat Returns. I had no idea about that. Wow. I'm very happy you mentioned the dub, because yeah, that dub is fantastic. Cary Elway is the guy who voices Muta. You didn't mention Anne Hathaway. I actually really like Anne Hathaway as the lead character in that movie, in that dub. But I was happy, that was cool to see, especially, not like I'm pro dub and I don't like anyone trashing dubs. I'm fine with people not liking dubs. But I just mean this, it was a cool transition where it's like, oh, you hated the dub for this thing, but then he actually really sells the dub in this movie. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. And again, there's just so much more production attention to detail, like to the production itself, and how the character designs are more angular and softer, like, kind of more flat than the other movies are. And it's totally true, you're right. And I'm very happy you pointed that stuff out, and appreciating the backgrounds, going into the sound design. There's just so much attention to detail to this. It was like, wow, no one's ever cared about this movie this much to make this level of video. It's always a very generic review. I'm very happy you really gave it the recognition and credit it deserves, especially for that director. That was so cool that you actually got a response from him on Twitter. That's awesome. I go into I like watching your videos, and sometimes I'm just like, maybe this will be the one that I don't have anything to say, and it was just good. It was just good for good's sake, right? I mean, I just watched Beyond Gently's Terrace House video. Low-key, I'm not trying to talk about it because I do want to talk about his manga video when it comes out. Maybe I'm hyping it too much, but, for a video that I don't even know is coming out. But I really like the Terrace House video. I don't have too much to say about it. So, there's some times where it was like, okay, great video. That's just it. But then, no. Oh, also, there was something about your delivery in this one that just seemed more involved and punchy and like really amped up. And maybe something about the writing too. There was like a part that was like, I don't know. It just seemed far more elevated and more like involved and dramatic, and like you were really pushing for it. And that's cool. Just something I noticed. It was like, huh, nice. But again, giving the credit where credit's due, and like, yeah. Loved this. UrbanTheMyth. Wadamode is hopeful, actually. For one thing, the aesthetic of this video and the kind of like glitchiness you include to it and some of the effects you put in, there's moments where I'm like, was that even in the original show? I don't know. There's parts like that, and that's the same thing for his AMV as well. Whereas he's making these very, very seamless edits, and it doesn't feel like a edited video that just and that's always that's something I'm kind of wrestling with my current Gurren Lagann video. I'm trying to steer away from my other videos, because my other videos I always feel I put a very specific artificiality to them, and they just feel like YouTube videos, and they're not like, like experiencing the show through someone's essay. You know what I mean? But Urban does such an amazing job with again, that idea of embodying the show that you're talking about. Not like his video is cringe in the way that Wadamode is cringe, but just in aesthetics. There's like a lot of weird light refractions and sleek coloring, and the glitchiness I think kind of works with that, and it didn't feel out of place. And a lot of his edits really felt seamless and kind of integrated into it, which I really, really liked. He has very good control of his script, and there's a nice even balance of talking about the show itself versus outside the show and metatextual, and maybe talking about himself a little bit and the experience of watching it. That's a good mix to have, because while I prefer the latter of just, metatextual talking about the show itself and not like kind of immersing yourself in the show, or like what happens in the show, I suppose. It is good to have a fair balance of that, so that people are still invested and like immersed in the video. So Urban has a really good mix of that, I think. It was broken up pretty nicely into various sections. I don't know if it necessarily had to, but I did like that he sort of prefaces each paragraph with like, the people are really nice, sort of thing. And kind of highlighting key points, and not necessarily, they didn't feel like sections of like, here's part one, which is exactly what I'm doing in this fucking Gurren Lagann video. I want to break it like that, so I'm okay with that. But maybe I might, I don't know. But yeah, I really like that these didn't feel so much like part one, part whatever. They kind of felt like leading into the next point, and also the little narrative device, not narrative device, I guess, script device, I suppose, where you have like the two paths and like two ways to experience Watamode, or two things to sort of take away from it, and sort of as a pessimistic and optimistic, I believe was the two kind of thing. I might be wrong about that. I'm very bad at listening. But man's got it, man. He's got it. And I like the length too. I don't feel like he needs to make anything super ambitious either. It felt very holistic in that way, and I feel like he just doesn't make enough, But who am I to talk? Yeah, what can you do? But yeah, I'm looking forward to more. Especially just because it's like, you're really good at this. I think you know that. Hell yeah. I think I was sick. Fucking Kenny Lauderdale with a good video. I told you guys. I may have not made it out to be, but I knew this guy could put out some really good shit. If Mobius made anime, The Beautiful Art of Dragon's Heaven. It's fantastic. This is a great video. He really talks about it in earnest, it feels well read in the subject and has looked up this stuff, and it's informative. It's wholesome in the way that it feels additive and is like a really hearty recommendation for this thing. Transparent still, not trying to overhype it or anything like that, but really has really thoughtful observations, and he's good at observing things. But I just think sometimes that observation, it just gets too overbearing and just very nitpicky. It comes off as nitpicky. But like when you're noticing you're applying that to something that like you're appreciating something like this, it just comes off, far more genuine and like earnest, I suppose. It's just so much better. I just love it. And yeah, maybe I'm incredibly biased as just talking about, you can only talk positively about anime. And maybe I'm saying that. That is something I prefer. But it was awesome. And talking a little bit about Mobius too, and again, the history of it with great respect for the author specifically and the creator of this. It was just great. And I think unfortunately I feel bad that I can go on for like 10 minutes about how bad one of his videos is, and then when he puts out a good video, I'm just like, it's good. It sucks. I really hate that I'm not good enough as a critic yet to do that, I suppose. But I loved it. Really freaking approved. Dude's good. It's just he puts out bad shit sometimes. Like we all post cringe inevitably. We'll all lose subscribers someday. But this was a W. This was a W. I really liked it. I'm very happy I checked it out. I hope you check it out as well. Hope that's a hearty enough recommendation for you. It's like, I loved it. Makes me want to watch Dragon's Heaven again, to be honest, because there was parts of it that I was like, I didn't appreciate that. Wow. And I probably would love the hell out of it now. I think I would. I love this video, and I love hearing about it. But it wasn't the best video of the week. No, I thoroughly enjoyed this very short but very sweet. Not very short, I suppose it's 7 minutes, but all anime is cringe, and that's okay. A formal rant by Vic, and on the channel Vic and Hope, him and his girlfriend. Most of their videos are very long-form rants where they're just on the couch talking, and it seems pretty chill. I've checked out like 1 or 2 of them, and they seem fine. I'm not too interested, though. This, however, was fantastic. I really liked the perspective and the personal spin that he had on this, and the energy he brought, and he really went gung-ho on it, and he wasn't trying to be defensive about like his opinion, because this is obviously kind of a take, right? No, but he was very confident in his assertion, and happy about it. And it's just like, this is something we should embrace. This is something like why we like it. This is the reason I was into it, you know? And I like that the at one point he was making, there was like, all media is cringe. Just consuming media is seen as inherently lesser than going out into the world and experiencing it yourself. Falling in love, getting relationships, and having sex like a normie. And it's true. I think there was a good point to that, to be honest. But you know, Vic is coming from a good place, and not a malicious place, and not in a way that's really like abrasive or combative. It was more like, you know, really earnestly presenting it in a way that was fun and engaging with a lot of really good quips. This one line: "Cringe is pulp, cringe is fringe, cringe is the shit you can't help binge." I fell in love. I was like, I subscribed 4 times. Yo! I loved it. I want more of that, please. I fucking died and rewound it like a couple of times. This is so funny. He said about Berserk, just like out of the blue, it seemed. It seemed out of the blue. I feel like I blinked and missed a cultural zeitgeist shift where my favorite manga from high school stopped being considered misogynistic and rapey and started being considered like Lord of the fucking Rings of anime. It's fucking true, dude. Holy shit. I was fucking shook, dude. Oh my god. And there's a lot of cool like little truth bombs in there, but that one was especially just like, oh! I loved it. It was so good. Pretty standard visual to it. It was in front of a green screen and kind of putting out generic stuff in the back. And, you know, some of it was very carefully selected, though. There was some, like, Legend of Black Heaven on there. There was, it wasn't very generic, like, hentai, ecchi, whatever. I was very happy he didn't go in that direction, because that's so boring and, like, everyone's fucking made that point, you know? He was coming more from his experience and what he's consumed as a guy, and he was putting up his own personal pictures of him in cosplay, and him kind of really admitting is like, no, I'm with you on this. I'm not trying to say I'm exempt from this. I'm not trying to diminish you. I am fully one of you, and I'm telling you this. And I was like, yeah, that's a really good point he was making. And I think there was a little something also he was saying where it's like, this isn't Sound of Music, this isn't Gone with the Wind. I would argue the same cringe argument could be said about musical theater, because it is inherently cringe when you think about it, with like characters spontaneously breaking out into song and being very flamboyant and enthusiastic and over dramatic, right? But it's cool, and it has the same kind of aesthetic appeal of anime for me, where it's very colorful and energetic and catchy and emotional, you know. So when you were saying this, like, this is no Sound of Music, it's like, it kind of is. Sound of Music is kind of anime, if you ask me. Yeah, but that was so much fucking fun. I want to watch that video again. That was sick. I loved it. Best video of the week. Thank you very much to my patrons for supporting this video and what I make. In particular, thank you to Fluke Morph, My Anime Pod, Najbeb, Unique Nemosaurus, and Yellow Cheese. You guys are fantastic. Thank you so fucking much. You guys have a great week. Yo, peace.